public concerning the agreement that was entered into with the Attorney General's Office and the Assistant Wapton Law Enforcement. This is a joint drug enforcement agreement. So I'm just going to quickly read through the pamphlet that we were handed. This joint powers agreement is entered by and among the Assistant Dakota Office of Attorney General, 1302 East Highway 14, Pierre, South Dakota 57501, 8505. So I'm just going to hereinafter identified as AGO, and the Assistant Wapton Oyate of the Lake Traverse Reservation, a sovereign and federally recognized Indian tribe. 1302 East Highway 14, pursuant to the authority provided in SDCL Chapter 1-24 and SWO Tribal Council Resolution Number SWO 18-003, whereas the manufacture, distribution, sale, and possession of illegal drugs and marijuana are serious problems in the state of South Dakota and within the original exterior boundaries of the Lake Traverse Reservation. And whereas, due to the nature of drug trafficking and the limited geographical jurisdiction of the local law enforcement officers, it is difficult to effectively investigate illegal activity and enforce state and tribal drug, marijuana, and controlled substance laws. And whereas the AGO and the SWLE represent two distinct governmental jurisdictions within the state of South Dakota, and in order to properly address drug-related activity, it will take a combined government-to-government effort. And whereas AGO agents and assistants have statewide police power authority to investigate and enforce state criminal laws under SDCL Chapters 23-3, 32-20B, and Title 23, but AGO requires assistance in the form of additional personnel and financial resources to more fully investigate and enforce the state's drug, marijuana, and controlled substance laws. And whereas SWLE agents and assistants have police power authority to investigate and enforce tribal criminal laws under SWOCL Chapters 20, 24, and Article 10 of the 1867 Treaty, but SWLE requires assistance in the form of additional personnel and financial resources to more fully investigate and enforce the tribe's drug, marijuana, and controlled substance laws. And whereas AGO and state law enforcement under SDCL Chapter 34-20B jointly hold the police powers to investigate and enforce the state's drug, marijuana, and controlled substance laws, and have the duty to cooperate in investigative and enforcement efforts. And whereas the Attorney General has the authority under SDCL Chapters 1-11 and 23-3 to appoint special assistants to aid AGO in investigating and enforcing the state's drug, marijuana, and controlled substance laws. And whereas the SWO Tribal Council has the authority under Article 7 of the revised Constitution and bylaws of the Assistant Wapton Oyate to, among others, A, to represent the tribe in all negotiations with federal, state, marijuana, and controlled substance laws. And whereas the SWO Tribal Council has the authority under Article 6 of the revised Constitution and bylaws of the Assistant Wapton Oyate to, among others,
go ahead and sign it. And we're going to ask our state representatives, we're going to ask our criminal investigator, chief of police, tribal council, if they want to come up and grab a seat in no particular order. We got people from the Attorney General's office, So we're going to have a presentation here today to share with you so that you gain an understanding, a knowledge of what is happening in our whole community, what the swim conscious freedom of public safety means to us, and why it's happening, and how it's working. We're going to have, I want to thank our law enforcement, our tribal law enforcement, for starting. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Tribal teaching over here. Want to recognize them.
Good afternoon again. Thanks for having me. I don't have a lot to add. And while this agreement doesn't specifically engage the highway patrol in any manner, I do see a unique working relationship that we will have with Isaiah and with the tribe because he's going to be working closely with DCI agents. And one thing that our officers do at Office State is we have criminal addiction teams, we have patrol dogs go out and take these guys off the street and try to deal with them. But there's a lot of follow-up that's required in the aftermath of drug arrests and methamphetamine arrests. And one thing that I do see us encountering is working with Isaiah and DCI agents so that they can take it to that next step beyond what our officers do when they arrest somebody on the side of the street or on the highways that might be on the interstate or whatever the case may be. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come up here and to visit with you and again attend this beautiful building. I look around and all the star quilts are amazing to me, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come up and we'll be around for questions. We look forward to visiting with anyone that has any type of questions. Thank you.
So we'll, anybody has any questions, we'd ask for you to come up and state your name and your district and please ask your question.
My name's William Boucher. I'm from the Lake Traverse District.
So we'll, anybody has any questions, we'd ask for you to come up and state your name and your district and please ask your
I know in
question.
South Dakota it's illegal to even smoke marijuana, but some of our members here require medical conditioning The second thing that I have a question about with this agreement, does this agreement mean that the state of South Dakota recognizes our boundary and reservation now? Other states in this? The second thing that I have a question about with this agreement.
I don't think that anything in this JPA speaks directly to our treaty boundaries.
Well, reading this, it states, an assistant Wapton Oyate of the Lake Traverse Reservation.
I
Now,
don't think that anything in this JPA speaks directly to
you know, the
our
South State of
treaty
South Dakota
boundaries.
has said we don't have a reservation yet. Now, if this was a legitimate contract under Oyate, South Dakota's rules, it would say tribal land instead of reservation.
In our name, the Assistant Wapton of the Lake Traverse Reservation was a distinguishment between this tract of land and the Devil's Lake tract of land. So that's how we're recognized. That's our official name in the federal registry. Whether the state recognizes our reservation boundaries or not, that's how we are listed in the federal registry. We are the Assistant Wapton of the Lake Traverse Reservation. That's how we're recognized. That's our official name in the federal registry. Whether the state recognizes our reservation boundaries or not, that's how we are listed in the federal registry. We are the Assistant Wapton of the Lake Traverse Reservation. That's how we're recognized. That I don't know how I can explain it any better. That's how we are listed.
Okay, we'll work on that, Julian. I don't, you want to speak on medical marijuana? The state of South Dakota, I don't speak for them, but for the tribe, it is illegal. It is illegal. We know that there are states like Denver, Colorado, Washington, other states that have recreational medicinal use. South Dakota, many states that have something to us, that's something you want to pursue, and that's where you should move to. The tribe, all drugs are illegal. State of South Dakota, all drugs are illegal. That's something. Well, I would say pertaining getting back to the Joint Powers Agreement, that drugs are drugs, and if there's somebody that's not for marijuana. got Michelle, and then we'll go with Ella. Oh, Michelle, tied away, so. My turn to put her on blast. No, I'm just kidding. Ella, you want to come up? We got Michelle, and then we'll go with Ella. Oh, Michelle, tied away, so.
Good afternoon.
My turn to put her on blast. No, I'm just kidding. Ella, you want to come up?
There's a slight disagreement. Slight. Anyway, there's agreement that it's cut and dried. True.
I made the remark that the topic is cut and dry. Public safety is our number one priority.
Anyway, just one question. Being as there's quite a few personnel involved.
I made the remark that the topic is cut and dry. Public safety
Provide
is our
oversight,
number one priority.
if any, of this whole operation. Just one question. Oversight and transparency.
So who provides the oversight is a joint effort, I would say, between the tribe and the state. Again, Gary is our chief of police, and with the DCI involved and the state working together with the chief, there is that open line of communications. I guess what I'm not too sure is what part of the oversight you're looking at. Are you looking at who's giving the commandments or doing control? Who's looking at the different seizures and forfeitures? Again, going back to what was misread, depending on where that transaction took place, so that actually took place, is going to dictate which government is going to take those forfeitures. And for the stats, those types of arrests and stats and the different schedule of drugs, that's a working relationship we have, which we have to have that transparency. If the left doesn't know what the right hand is doing, we're all over the place. Again, it's asked to why the joint powers agreement was put into place so that we can come back together. This methamphetamine problem that's lacking the whole community. So, I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean that. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Anybody else? Ted? Go Ted and then Mike. I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean that. Ted, can you speak into the mic? Does that answer your question? Thank you. Anybody else? Ted? Go Ted and then Mike. Sure. Well, in fact, you asked that question, Ted. So the question was it illegal to sign into this agreement? The answer is no, it wasn't illegal. Tribal council members were informed of this a while back, and part of the reason we put on this questionnaire is because you go to your district, so the question goes consistently. If you're engaged in your tribal government, and there's no, it wasn't the different information that was put out there, you would have known about this. And over Long Hollow, they didn't have any issue with this. We spent time at their district meeting. My councilman from Lake Traverse brought it up at his meeting. This was months ago. If council didn't bring it to their district, that's not on me. That's
it led to a lab on reservation. It also led to a lab formulating. So that right there is working. And it's still, this is only gonna make it stronger. You know, there's one pursuit we had. You know, it led to a lab on yeah, every case that Isaiah opens up is tracked. We have all cases, case numbers are all tracked and they're reviewed. By myself, EIs, I send those case reviews to them, they have to review them. So it's done annually. Yeah, every case that Isaiah opens up is tracked. We have all cases, case numbers are all tracked and they're reviewed. By myself, EIs, I send those case reviews. As of right now, I can think of for sure on our jurisdiction. We had one on Barker Hill. We had non arrested. We had pursued from our land to other jurisdictions where there was arrest money turned over to the county authorities, state authorities. But yeah, that's everything. We're dealing with not just drugs, everything else. We had pursued from our land to other jurisdictions where there was arrest money turned over to the county authorities. Yes. But yeah, that's everything. We're dealing with not just drugs, everything else. Well, you know, you have to enforce the laws. It's tough to, you know, Joe Blow that's driving down the street, never been in trouble all his life, and all of a sudden we're doing drug interdiction night, and we're stopping everybody that's breaking the law, of course, and we find out that the license, it's part of the culture right now in society that we're in. It's really tough to close your eyes and not be a part of it or not be affected by this drug.
question is, how do we know that non-tribal members of those being arrested off tribal jurisdiction are being adjudicated?
In this particular case, if Isaiah, through the use of this agreement, is arresting a non-tribal member, or he's working with my agent, Isaiah's partner, but those people would then be arrested and charged at the county level. So it would be your county attorneys, and could be wherever this case leads them, whatever county it's in, could be here in Roberts County, Bay County, Robert County, Marshall County, wherever those cases would lead, those people that are non-tribal members, they would be processed in those counties, and then those will be worked for the city side. Whatever county it's in, could be here in Roberts County, Bay County. And definitely to add to that, of course, he becomes a practice for law enforcement. He would come and testify in
our council person to vote against this agreement. One of the other things I think that a lot of people were also upset about, and you guys have flip-flopped on it, flip-flopped on the votes apparently, because you did vote to rescind it, and then the next day went back to rescind the rescinding. In regards to some of what the highway patrolmen, what they're going to do, I think Steve mentioned it, but some people, and I read this on Facebook, and you know Facebook is not fake news. A lot of people were getting pulled over or followed down the road by the highway patrolmen on our land, and everybody kind of doesn't appreciate that, because this is supposed to be about drugs, but you're looking for other instances to stop us. One of the other things that I think this agreement threatens our sovereignty, though it was mentioned in the first paragraphs that it doesn't, but I think there's a number of us who believe that once you open the door for the state to do something like this, then you are threatening our sovereignty. And the chairman said that this is the first, that Swst Sioux tribe is the first tribe to try this with this state. And personally, I believe that you're not going to get much cooperations from the Western tribes, because they really believe in treaties and sovereignty and all that more than we do, I think. To try this with this state. And then the last thing that I wanted to say was, on the back page of your agreement, it says the state signed it on February 5th, but the tribe signed it on January 29th. And Deb said it wasn't ratified by the council until February 5th. So I was just wondering how come you all signed off on it in January before it was ratified by the council. Thank you. February 5th, the tribe signed it on January 29th. And Deb said it wasn't ratified by the council.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to welcome, it's an honor to have people from the state and law enforcement to come here and meet with Swst people. And I thank you. Allowing me to speak. I wrote something. I want to welcome, it's an honor. First, I'll introduce myself. I'm a Renville also. I'm Darlene Renville Pipe Boy. Swst people. And I thank you. And I'm 77 years old. So I've come through a lot of battles with people. I want to read you something, and then I want you to take a copy of this back to Mr. Jackley so that he can look at it. All reservations are created by treaty. The Treaty of 1867 created the Lake Traverse Reservation. When they threw us out of Minnesota, shall we say. Since that time, all reservations are created by federal law, the Treaty of 1867, policy, determined the legal relationship that we have with the United States government. Since that time, the sovereign nation-to-nation status is the key to its relationship That's the C2 Orkbetua. I speak the traditional Oyate. I grew up in that generation. Do not accept the Joint Towers Agreement. That's the C2. The protection of land, water, a way of life will be threatened. Do not accept. We have endured discrimination due to the Constitution. The system Wapton or Sisituam or Kwetuam. We have endured traditional government discrimination. Has the status of being a non-IRA governance, and you better look at that. The system Wapton or Sisituam or Kwetuam. We have endured traditional government. I lived in a time. Has the status when drugs were not here on the reservation. But I did grow up in a place where they were. And that was California. But I want to read you something. So, okay, case law. Case law. United States Supreme Court. And that was California. Versus Kagama. Kagama was a California Indian. The court case said this. They, meaning the Indians, owe no allegiance to the state and receive from them no protection. The court case said this. Because of local ill feelings, the people of the states where they are found are often their deadliest enemies. Now these are issues. I'm a landowner. You talk about allotted land, unallotted land, or free land. I'm a landowner. I will not allow. Now these are issues. Law enforcement to come on my grandmother, my grandfather's land, my mother and my father. You will not be allowed to come there for whatever purpose. I think these are issues that the tribe could not, law enforcement to come on, shall we say, litigate, because they oversee tribal land, tribal trust land. So I think we need to have an understanding. I agree with other people. Did you ask me? Or did you tell me? No, you didn't. I think when people are informed of issues, I think we need to have an understanding. They have a right to make choice. Did you ask me? Or did you tell me? No, you didn't. Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is an issue. People are informed. The two gray areas. There are two gray areas here. They have a right to make choice. Peter and Summit. They are gray areas. Do we look at and find a solution? I don't know that. The two gray areas. There are two gray areas here. But I think that when we look at jurisdiction, we better know where we're at. And how are you going to know that? Why would the Bureau of Indian Affairs give you information concerning the allotted lands? They cannot do so. When we look at jurisdiction, I think those are legal issues that we all have to look at and then understand. I appreciate I say, why do people say that when they are not? I did. So many issues, you know, determines many things. Chiefs and headmen, there are no chiefs and headmen. Why do we talk about things that we know nothing about? There should be, perhaps. So I want, if they will allow me to do so, to make a copy of this letter that I brought, and I want you to take it back to the state. There should be, without curiosity. Thank you.
Thresholds. Is the DEA still going to be involved in investigations and felony level offenses on tribal land? That's my first question. Does the DEA still have any jurisdiction, or is it going to go straight to state? Is that making any sense? Is that clear? Felony level offenses on tribal land.
You talk federal jurisdiction, any one of the major crimes is have jurisdiction to, I mean, that's a long time.
Okay, I just want to make sure if it is still in the scope of the agreement.
You talk federal jurisdiction, in the scope of what agreement? You have jurisdiction to, no, this is between the tribe and the state. Yeah. So, but if there was a, I don't want to get off the topic. Well, that was a topic we're talking about methamphetamine, public safety, not white collar crime, or those types of things. And our list of drugs. If there was a crime that happened within the jurisdiction of the tribe, if it's above tribal threshold, those are. Rape and murder, those are always been taken care of by the jurisdiction of the tribe, right? By the U.S. Attorney's Office, that would be reliable threshold.
That was my concerning question, was the trafficking.
Rape and murder,
do we need to have law enforcement officers at that stage of our population locally to have officers towards that?
We are short-staffed. We are short-staffed. Our police department stretched thin. We're looking at adding a couple more officers in this year's budget. Appreciate that concern.
Yes. The reason I brought that up is for every 1,000 people that
we are short-staffed. We are short-staffed. Our police department stretched thin. We're looking at adding a couple more officers in this year's budget. Appreciate that concern. Bill?
different numbers, resolutions, whatever it is in here. It's better to understand. Our tribal that Debbie put in there concerning the headman, the chief, and all that. It would have been better for us to understand that what that really meant. That there were some of us that didn't have access to computers and things like that to understand that covering our tribal. My other question is, it's a scenario. If Isaiah pursues a individual who committed an offense on our tribal lands, and that individual went into citizen, it's a scenario. This gives him the authority to arrest him, right? Will that individual come back to our tribal courts and be tried for a major offense with that individual? Who has the jurisdiction in the tribal courts if that occurs? Because previously, our police officers could not go up and arrest individuals. It's a joint agreement that allows them to do that now. But the original crime was committed in the nation. So who has the authority to try this individual?
Under the JPA, it's specific to drug crimes for one. And under that scenario, if it was a non-Indian, Isaiah would then contact state DCI and engage the JPA. Because the tribe does not have jurisdiction over non-Indians, that individual will be turned over to the county court. Outside of the JPA, and I have a feeling Kristen will probably disagree with me. It might have some, there are some jurisdictional things, difference of opinion, I guess, as far as the tribal members within the original boundaries. The tribe's position is, and this doesn't have anything to do with the JPA, but the tribe's position is, and we have those two court cases that I talked about earlier that affirm this, is that we exercise jurisdiction over our members throughout the entire treaty boundaries. That has been challenged by tribal members, and on 2 occasions it went up to the tribe's appellate court, and they've upheld that through Article 10 of the 67 treaty, that nothing that allowed us to have law enforcement and to uphold our laws. Nothing with the Dakota case or the 1891 Act, which is the act where we agreed to sell the non-allotted land. Nothing in that act or the Dakota case took that Article 10 jurisdiction away from us. And then, like I said, subsequent to that, we have these two court cases. Also, our tribal constitution, Article 1, when it talks about jurisdiction, it talks about jurisdiction within the original 67 treaty boundaries. Now, whether or not the state has a difference of opinion of that, we exercise jurisdiction in our original boundaries over our members. So I don't know if that answers your question. If Isaiah pursued a case of a tribal member in his town, I don't believe that he would I don't think he would contact DCI because we're exercising that jurisdiction. So there's no reason to engage it. We engage this JPA when it's outside of his jurisdiction.
We'll still contact DCI if we have to, if the department committed. The officer that's on the scene with that big person will contact state authorities to come on to investigate. Go to county, city assistant, city officer will come there and respond. We'll still contact DCI if we have to, if the department committed. The officer that's on the scene with that big person will contact state authorities to come on to investigate. Just, don't think we're gonna take anybody's time.
What's up with that?
Innocent ones.
That's just as bad as the
And so
meth.
we need to take this in our own hands and not just.
It's just out of sight, out of mind. We need to take this in our own hands and care about each other because we're losing our kids. Those kids are around those parents that are doing drugs. And they're taking it in and it's burning their brain cells.
It's just out of sight.
It is. I've seen it.
We need
And
to
it's
take
not
this in
fair.
our own hands and care about each other because we're losing
But as
our
far as
kids.
Washichus,
Those kids are
I have a
around
lot of
those
good
parents
Washichu
that
friends,
are
but they're
doing
spiritual
drugs.
friends.
And they're taking
They're
it in
religious
and burning
friends.
their brain cells.
I don't trust the government.
I've seen it.
I don't trust the police.
It's not fair.
I'm sorry.
But as far as Washichus,
You've given me no reason to.
they're spiritual friends.
If you guys really cared about us, maybe you would treat us better. Maybe there would be a change. I don't trust the police. I'm sorry. What happened to us. And we still haven't got that prosciutto back. And that was for his diabetes.
About us, maybe you would treat us better.
Where is it?
Maybe there would be a change.
You guys want to find out what's in there? Maybe you guys could use it.
What happened
And
to us.
I have a lot of
And we
fear
still haven't got that prosciutto
with our
back.
kids. And especially, you know, all those videos that we watch. Yeah, it's more Facebook and get you scared. But then, you know, we had a meeting here and they followed somebody in and it had nothing to do with drugs. She was an elder.
I have a lot of fear.
You know, if you're here, I think if we, that's one solution is our own people taking responsibility and the guys getting together and really coming together for the people and forming something positive. And maybe it could just be called a Kichita. Sisintu wa Kichita. Maybe that's what you could really be. You don't have to go shoot a gun to be in a Kichita, I'll tell you that much. But the point is this. Why can't we just bring in the feds and clean it up like Standing Rock did? We got stopped. The feds were like crazy. And I'm talking before camp. And it's just a period of time, making sure. But in the meantime, work with the Akichita. Clean it up. I don't like what's going on. And I hate to say this, there are people that are poor on this reservation that can't afford insurance. And they go from point A to point B on the res. And then now they're going to jail. That's not fair.
I don't like what's going on.
Mitakiase.
Michael LaFontaine from Old Agency District. Who's HB 165? Okay, that's what they've been talking about. That's neither one of you. He was on our road this morning at 9:42, traveling north on 700. Old Agency District. I work at the tribe's sex offender registry office as a compliance monitor, which means that's what they've been talking about. That's neither one of you. Register sex offenders on our jurisdiction. 9:42. I work well with Peer 700 Peg Nickerson. She's with the sex offender registry coordinator. Sex offender registry office. They notify me when there's a sex offender relocates to our jurisdiction. Register sex offender. I make contact, get them registered. Or if I find a sex offender out of compliance and he relocates off our jurisdiction, I notify Peg Nickerson, and she in turn will notify the county, whether it's Roberts, Day, Marshall, Coddington, or if it's North Dakota, I'll contact the Attorney General there, and they contact Richland County. And she in turn will notify the county. I work well with both states, North Dakota, South Dakota, but when that information trickles down to the counties, there is very little response. Attorney General there. So with this joint powers agreement, why are we utilizing our manpower down to the counties? Our finances, very little response. People, property. So with this, to do this powers agreement, I would like the chairman for utilizing our manpower down to the counties. Our finances, very little response. Any kind of investigation over the DWI. So with this, to do this powers investigating, I would like the chairman for utilizing our manpower down to the counties. Our finances, very little response. That's in the area, or the county deputy, advise them of the situation, and they would either respond or not respond. And when we work the graveyard shift, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, there's usually nobody out. So we have to take it upon ourselves how to resolve that situation, whether it was to let a drunk driver continue driving down the road, or take them out of their vehicle, take their keys, park it, give them the option of having it towed or leaving it there until they have somebody sober to come pick up the keys at the police department. But we handled those situations back then. I just don't agree with this agreement with the state where you're doing the county's job. I visited with Dr. Gail Mason. She's our behavioral health. And when we are turning people over to the state, but you said that's not the case here, because if they're within the original boundaries, our tribal members will be taken into custody under the tribal law enforcement. Our tribal members will be, if Mike was methed up and you pull me over and insisted him after following me off 700, you would take me out here to the tribal police department?
Yes, we can.
I was visiting with Gail Mason, and she talked to me about those that are addicted to meth. I was looking around to see if she was here so she could do this herself, but those that are addicted to meth and they're arrested and sentenced, or say they're arrested through the tribe, and we have no facility here. So if I picked up a citizen and brought out to the tribe for an arrest, I'd be the same thing, Roberts County, Oklahoma to do my time. And she said that there's no good for you to be, as a world addicted to meth, to be transported away from your home where you became addicted. But once you come back and you say you go through your time there, with the 3 months, a year, you come back to your home as a patient where you got your addiction from, you go back to the same environment. What I'm getting at is you need to build a facility here. A jail, detox, long-term treatment. My view here is that the long-term treatment could be a year to 18 months, but it has to be done here. Not at tall grass or not out in Wyoming, because when you get your treatment out there and you come back home, you're in the same environment, same people, the tools that you learn from there, you probably left them there. So our behavioral health has the tools to every day go through treatment there. I can't help but mention this as well. The agreement was made with Attorney General Marty Jackley. And like I said, I work with the Sex Offender Registry Office. My opinion, my personal opinion, not through my work, but I don't trust him because of what he did to the children that were in foster care with the state. The foster father was eventually prosecuted after a couple of U.S. attorneys were terminated for trying to fight for these kids, our Indian kids. Eventually, the father was prosecuted, but the foster mother was not. The children were returned to the foster mother, where who knows, when those kids are old enough, become adults, and going from being victims to survivors, and the story will come out. All right, thank you.
Guys want to see something? For those of you that kind of wondering what this is all about, that's my tribal ID number. I'm probably the newest Swst member in the house today. I got my membership back 2 weeks ago. I had a Anyway, it seems to me that the fundamental issue here is tribal staffing, lack of. Can I assume that, Debbie, Sean? I mean, that's why the tribe and the chairman and the council decided to make this JPA. They needed assistance from the state. I don't think there's anybody in here that doesn't realize that we do have a meth epidemic. Seriously. I'm fortunate I live in Watertown, so I don't get to see the day-to-day bad things that happen. The kids that get neglected, come to school hungry, people you can't leave your house, somebody's going to break into it, and all those kinds of things. So I would challenge the tribal council. You got 6.5 months. In the next 6.5 months, you find the money for the tribal police department. Let's just do the numbers here. Just guesstimate. 10 officers, $50,000 apiece. That's $500,000 plus salary and benefits. Vehicles, training. I would dress these guys, they would patrol this reservation 24/7, look like SWAT team. That's what I would do. And I'm almost positive that we could solve this drug problem within a year. I remember, most of you do, one time you couldn't go to a powwow without seeing a bunch of drunk Indians stumbling around. Well, one year we decided enough is enough. We stopped them at the gate, we confiscated their booze. You know what happened? You can't go to a powwow in America today and see a drunk Indian. We stopped it, and I like to think it started right here. We can do it. That is what sovereignty really means. We got a problem, we addressed it. We took care of it. We fixed it. We move on. The last thing I want to say is I got a map here. I'm going to leave it with the state people. This is the map that defines us. There's two treaties actually. The Treaty of 1867 and Traverse P. Sioux Treaty of 1851. We literally owned half of Minnesota. Because of that treaty, we lost over 30 million acres of land for pennies on an acre. Because of that treaty, there was a war of 1862. Because of that war, we were kicked out of Minnesota literally in February of 1863. And we wandered the prairies for 5 years until the government, I always like this word, gave us a 917,000 acre reservation right here in the northeastern corner of South Dakota. When I use that word gave, where do you think they got that land in the first place? You gotta know your history. Back up a little bit. I find it hard to believe, but Spain originally claimed this land. Then they sold it to the French. And then the French sold it to the Americans. So there sat millions and millions of acres of land. So when we got kicked out of Minnesota, there conveniently was 917,000 acres of land, which established this reservation. And you probably all know, you're all law trained, I presume. There's a key United States Supreme Court decision, Dakota versus District County Court, 1975. That law effectively eroded, diminished the tribe's boundaries. Ever since then, you know, most of us get along pretty good with our white neighbors. We have to. But I think I could probably say that almost every one of us in here, we have a certain resentment, not to you individually, but we have a resentment towards white people, how screwed we got. Every time we turn around, our ancestors got screwed out of land. And that bothers us, and that's what this people are upset over this joint powers agreement. Is this another deal where we're going to get screwed again? See? And I say, I want to balance that. Don't get me wrong. I want to balance that, you know, because we don't want this meth problem. And it's up to us to fix it. I would like I said, to challenge you all. got 6.5 months. You find the money in 6.5 months. Your last task, those of you that are not running or don't get reelected, your last task would be to tell the state, thanks, but no thanks. Don't need you no more.
Sorry, Arbor. I wasn't going to say anything, but after hearing everybody talk, I finally decided I am going to come up and say something. Okay, my name is Leanne Tallbear. My mother was Arlene Heminger, so I got a lot of relatives here. And I want you to know I'm also a landowner. And I don't want any meth heads, and I don't want any meth dealers on my land. And I don't care if you are related to me. Before coming to work for the tribe, I wrote grants for the tribe. And what I wrote is a lot of law enforcement grants, a lot of drug grants for methamphetamine abuse, sexual assault services grants, every kind of social ill you could think of. And there was one common denominator. It was drugs or alcohol. Now, I read case study after case study after case study. And some nights when I was writing, I'd go to bed crying myself to sleep. And you want to know why? Because I read a case study about a 5-year-old girl being raped by somebody high on meth. A mother on meth neglecting her children. Little boys being raped. Little girls, old ladies. Now I hear a lot of talk about eroding our sovereignty. Well, we can start protecting our sovereignty by running these meth heads and these meth dealers off our reservation. And then maybe we wouldn't need the Joint Powers Act. But that's a fact. There's a lot of cheering here, leaning, but every day, and sometime tonight, some little kid is going to get sexually abused by somebody high on meth. And that's a reality. That's what we're talking about. Some young girl is going to get gang raped. And that happens all the time here. That's what we're talking about. We're eroding our sovereignty. And we can change that. But we got to start somewhere. And yeah, this makes me angry. You can talk, I'm not going to litigate old treaties. I'm not going back 100 or 200 years. I want to talk about tonight and tomorrow and next week and next month. What are we going to do to make this a healthier place to raise our families? What are we going to do to make this a place where we really do practice sovereignty and independence? When are we going to get there? Or are we just going to talk rhetoric for another 100 years? Every one of us are in control of this. Every one of us are in control of what happens within our lives. So if you want to look the other way while your son or your daughter is neglecting a kid, or your grandchild, or your niece and your nephew, you go ahead. But that's not practicing sovereignty.
I'd like to just, I guess, pose a question or just put something out there for you guys. In my conversations with Gary and Isaiah and other law enforcement folks, I always tell them I have your back, and I do. One of the main reasons that this legal department supported this JPA is to help them, to help law enforcement. I know we're not supposed to talk about specific instances, but our law enforcement told me a story about a drug deal that was set up at a district center, and the sellers were non-Indians. Right there, they had the opportunity to make this bust. They turned it over, or I think they called the county sheriff. We're not touching it. We're not touching it. This is a crime that happened on Indian land, I understand they're non-Indians, but we're not touching it. Okay, and I know we have an assistant U.S. attorney here, but I'll say this anyway. We have situations just like that where I heard somebody say, let the feds clean it up. We call the feds, and the feds don't come. They don't come. So what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to support our tribal law enforcement? I ask you that. Everybody that's against this agreement, we're not asking the state to help us. And Mr. Randall, I'm not sure the stacking that you were talking about, that's not what precipitated this. I don't know if you're talking about the Tribal Law and Order Act, stacking of crimes and sentencing. We're not asking the state to help us enforce laws against our members. We do that ourselves. You see all these law enforcement here. They do that. They enforce our laws with our members. What we're entering, or what we supported this JPA was for those instances that are outside of their jurisdiction, meaning non-Indians. So who makes those arrests when the feds don't come? I ask you that. Who? So we're just going to let these non-Indians make the drug deals at our district centers? Who's protecting us from those? Because it can't be Isaiah, and it's not Gary. They don't have jurisdiction. So we're entering into these agreements with the state, and I've said this to DCA at a meeting. I don't know if people don't trust the tribe's legal department because we're women, because we're tribal members. I don't know. But you've heard here a couple times today, Sean and I and Megan were very diligent about making sure that language that went into this agreement did not infringe upon our sovereignty or upon our jurisdiction. So again, with that, I ask you, everybody who's opposed to it, who's protecting us from those non-Indians that are selling drugs to our babies, to our young people? Who's protecting us when our law enforcement does not have jurisdiction? Thank you.
We're going to let Steve and our colonel and our captain and Mr. Gortmaker, any closing remarks for them. They do have to catch a flight. So if not, we did want to make an announcement. Marty was invited. We tried to schedule him to get here. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So it was important. But let's give our state officials a nice round of applause for coming. And we are going to communicate with them. I don't know where Crystal went. We got our community transit in action. And I do want to recognize Troy Morley over there from the United States Attorney's Office. Troy, just want to, he's been up here working some cases on behalf of the tribe. We appreciate it. And I also do want to recognize before I get to Uncle Orville, Don Carlson from Roberts County, the commissioners here. If you just want to stand up and be identified, that we do have a county commissioner here that's participating. Thank them for their attendance. So, Uncle Orville.
En particular, eu chantei o ashté na pechuzapi. A metaka piacha hauna kele. Wongla kapi makocho kit kapi. Chetaha. I'd like to say blessings and greetings to each and every one of you, and the honorary doc, all the dignitaries here. Now, I'd like to say I am concerned today about what's going on with the agenda here, and I know the people that are sitting here. I'm very honored that they come here, but my experience is happening from Standing Rock to what's going on today, because the problems that is going on the reservation and the police department in Bismarck, where our people were being mistreated. We're peaceful, spiritual people, stand up for our rights. But the thing is, there's one of the police department person, he was caught for meth, and they never dealt with it. And you can see in the newspaper that they just let him go. And we have a problem all the reservations. I've been to a lot of different meetings on the problem with meth and drugs on our reservation, and trying to address the problem. And it is a big problem because it affects all of our families. We kind of sad to be in a place we're living in that time, and we're not safe in our homes no more, where the elders are being abused and children are being abused. We hear it every day, and how big the problem is, and the children being born on meth. But it is for the council, it's a big responsibility today for addressing as it is today, right now. And I want to remind the Oyate, the people on the reservation, and we hope to think that way, that we are a proud nation, spiritual people, that in our tradition, that Maza Waka, they say that Maza iron, Waka is a sacred spirit. And when you bring that into your homes or around you, you're bringing that energy, that spirit into you're going to Chanteshita. You're going to have tears in your eyes when that comes into your home. And I think about what some of the elders talk about, that Mazawaka, as spiritual people, we need to put our minds to that place and keep it going like that. And going back to our tribal council on our reservation, Cheyenne River Reservation, they had the same agenda, and they allowed the police department, but they didn't take care of the problem. The meth still goes on, but we have more police given tougher laws that were put in place, and grandmas or young people, were they given problems driving from home to grocery store. So, and the children there's more stronger laws in place. It is. That's right. But for me, like my experience on our own reservation, it's the well-being of our people is not there no more. And I want to share that because we're up against the law, the man-made laws today, and how we are going to deal with that. But I'd like to say that much today because we have a big problem on the reservations, but we also need to make sure that our people are being well taken care of. Ho mitakwas.
I'm going to be real quick. My name is Lisa Jackson. I'm from the Bakuli District, and I have a question that I want to present to council because we need some clarification. I think you talked about it earlier, but I wasn't able to catch it. It's the forfeiture on page 5, number 8. If we can bring that up, is the question here is the AGO going to manage and have full authority over the seizures? Or is anything that happens within tribal jurisdiction fall within under ours? If that's not the case, then how are we going to ensure that what's seized within our jurisdiction rightfully comes back to us? Can you hear me?
We put the slide up, and you can see that all seizures outside of our jurisdiction will be handled by the state. That's the way it is now. That happens without the JPA. If there's a seizure outside of our jurisdiction, the AGO is going to handle it. Now, if there's a seizure that happens within our jurisdiction, our tribal law enforcement handle it.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I missed that part of it. I'm kind of torn on this issue because I have a privilege of understanding both sides. There's times, as a police officer, and one of our elders mentioned that she read about some of the abuse that would happen when she's writing her grants, and as law enforcement, our officers, as employees of our child protection, they see the reality of the issues that meth addiction, drug addiction, any type of addiction places on our community. And as an officer, there's many times that I'd have to try to make an arrest, but I'm not able to because of a non-member. And when you see that level of hurt and pain within your own community and you're not able to do anything about that, that's the worst feeling you can, and worst position you can be in that type of job, with that type of service of protecting your community. And that was, Gary, almost 20 years ago. And so what this is telling me, almost 20 years ago, we're still talking about the same issue. Our officers' hands are still tied. And our community members are still being abused and still being mistreated. And we can't continue to keep doing the same thing over and over if we're not getting any results from it. So I want to commend council, and I want to commend the state representatives that were here, law enforcement, for bringing this to the table and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. One of the things I'm hearing is fear, distrust. Maybe the way it was presented or the lack thereof has brought and built upon a distrust which we've already had with law enforcement, which we already have with government. I know when I was in law enforcement, our community always had a distrust for law enforcement. We would try to get out in the community and we try to build that relationship. And I think this is something that we need to do here within law enforcement. Whenever we do something like this, we're always going to have the chance of somebody to enforce it incorrectly. And in those cases, we've heard an example where that could have happened. So what type of avenue, what type of process are you going to make available to us to evaluate those types of concerns that may arise, to make sure that this is going to be enforced correctly and fairly? This is something new to our community, to our membership, and the fears that I heard tonight are real. So how do we begin to talk about an avenue of resources to help us if we feel like we're being profiled? Where do we go with that, and who evaluates that? So I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. I commend you all for bringing this tough issue to the table, but it gives us the opportunity to come together, disagree, to agree, and to try to find some common ground, which is, at the end of the day, the welfare of our children, our family, our community. And how do we work with neighboring jurisdictions? Because what happens in my community affects the community around me and vice versa. So how do we work together to do that? So the fears and the trust, if we can try to communicate and figure out how we could do that. Gary, I'd love to see law enforcement back in the districts talking about this. How do we build that rapport? How do we get the community to begin to trust law enforcement again? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eileen Johnson. I'm from Enemy Swim, and I feel that there is some profiling going on. I was stopped a week ago Saturday. I was at the Magic, took someone up there, and I went to Dakota Crossing. And I have an uncle in Roslyn, elderly home, and he needed some clothes. He was getting a crossing card, so he couldn't really buy anything. So I was collecting things for him. And I was with my sister, and I said, well, let's go see Uncle Earl. So we were going out there, and then it was getting dark. And I was born here, but I was never raised, so I don't know all the back roads. And we were going, and we got lost, and we were going only about 45 miles an hour because there was a lot of deer. We could see deer. And then all of a sudden, a deer came up and sideswiped my car, heard this big bang, and I got scared, and my sister said, oh, that's a little deer. I said, did you hear that bang? That was not a little deer. So we kept going, and we ended up in Eden. We stopped in town, and they turned us around, and so we headed to Roslyn, and we got to Roslyn, visited, and we left about 10:30, and we was heading out of Roslyn, and I got pulled over by Highway Patrol. The lights were flashing, and my sister says, how come they're stopping us? What do we do? So I don't know. So I pulled over and immediately started digging for my license. And he comes up to my car, and he said he wanted to see our registration and insurance. And he told me that we didn't stop at a stop sign. And we said, what stop sign? We didn't see a stop sign. So I said, when we come out of Roslyn, you know, my sister and I were talking. You come out of Roslyn, you come to like a T. You have to go north or south. So then that's what we did. We stopped, and we said, there's no stop sign. We didn't see one. But anyway, he just gave me a warning, but he did note I did not have my registration in a car. And so we got home, and we were going fairly slow all the way because there were a lot of deer. And I told that policeman, you know, we're trying to do a good deed, and we get pulled over. We weren't speeding or anything. And I feel that he was probably sitting somewhere. I have a tribal license, and I think that's one of the reasons why that he probably stopped us, just to check and make sure that we had our insurance and all our legalities that we need, or to see if maybe we were drinking, but like I said, maybe we were going too slow. So that's why we were pulled over. Another incident happened coming out of Enemy Swim going to Waubay. I live in Waubay. I was pulled over there by the after Dead Man's Curve, and that officer said I was going 69. And as you know, those are curves there. If you go 69, you probably have an accident. And at that time, it had two dogs, one in the back, one in the front, that had rabies shots. And so I was trying to pay attention to the one on the bottom and with one hand on the wheel. And certainly you can't drive 69 miles an hour. But again, I had tribal plates, reason for them to pull me over. And I was going to try to fight it and stuff, but I just finally gave up on it because I couldn't really get anyone to represent me, and that was costly. Paying the fine is a lot cheaper. And that's one of the reasons why I feel that Indians today are pulled over, and they're told that, oh, their muffler's loud. Their little light's not on the license plates. I've had family been pulled over for that reason, coming home from Dakota Sioux. So I don't know if the Highway Patrol, you know, they don't really looking for the criminal. They're just sitting on the side lurking for you and a reason. They'll give you a reason. How can you fight it except go to court? Spend money on a lawyer. So I feel that they're using reasons in their authority to come in our reservation and stop people. So I feel that we can do things. I'm on the Human Service Board. We see or we hear of a lot of children, babies being born addicted. When you talk to people that defend this, they say, oh, when you're on drugs, you really get sick and you have to keep going to get better. I said, what about these babies? They're born addicted. It wasn't their choice. It wasn't their choice to be addicted, and they're craving as soon as they're born. Who's going to give them a fix? How are we going to take care of them? More hospital expense to a baby that may be born with other disabilities. You don't know this until after they're born. I was born here, but I was raised in Aberdeen. We were always called squaws, names. I couldn't even get a job. When I applied for a job in town, they wouldn't hire me because of the color of my skin. I worked that job, and the first thing I was told that only certain people handle the cash register. Because I'm the thief. Indians are profiled because they're thieves, they're drunks, and things like that. We have to get over this. Doing meth is not going to help us. It's ruining our children. Look at your children. When I told my grandfather of how people call us names in school on the street, he said, forgive them. It's not their fault. It's the parents' fault that they talk like this in their home. That's how the children pick up on. And that's what they're doing today, is they're only copying what's happening in their home. We need to stop this. We need to talk to them. We need more education in schools. We need a hotline to let people know if you see white people, suspect something, get a license, car license, something to report them. Thank you.
Just to wrap this up quick before we get into some drawings, we told the members were going to have these drawings, and then there's an unfortunate death that happened in our tribe here. I'm going to be asking Uncle Orville Looking Horse to come up and give us a prayer. But I just want to say that I can't apologize. I can't apologize for council if they didn't share this information with you. If you're not consistently going to your district meeting, or if you're not reading the tribal paper, or if you're not listening to the radio, you're not going to get that information. And I want to answer Dave Gill's question, because I thought he had a very good question. So part of the reason that we're having this today was so that you are getting the information, that you're getting accurate information, and that you have an opportunity to ask questions. And I thought there were some good questions here today. Now, if you don't want to accept the facts, then I can't help you. I can't help you. I'm not going to beg you to accept the facts. You're going to make your own decision based on the type of person you are and the character that you are. And I can't help you do that. But I will tell you that as being an elected official of the tribe, when the people elected us, you instilled in us a responsibility to protect our tribe. There were no strings attached. We're not puppets. And because 11 or 12 people go to the districts and they don't like, whether it's myself, they don't like Carrie, districts were coming in to have our chief of police removed. I wouldn't let that happen. Districts don't, 10 or 11 people that go to district meetings shouldn't be dictating for the 14,000 members of the tribe. I don't buy that. You want somebody else in there, then elect somebody else in an upcoming election. I'm not afraid to say it. I've stressed over this. I've cried. I've been angry. It's been an emotional roller coaster because of the moms that have come crying to me, the grandparents that have come crying and begging for us to do something. I've heard from people that if you're going to be critical of an idea, that you put forward your idea. You put forward your idea. We're trying to do the best we can. I can't, if you're not convinced with the facts, I'm sorry. We didn't erode our sovereignty. We didn't infringe on our jurisdiction. We're trying to combat a meth endemic here on this reservation. That's what it's about. We got kids that, when I was going to school, we were bringing matchlock cars to school because that's what we played with. That's what we were entertained with. Kids today are bringing meth needles to school. That's what we're trying to combat here. Housing was here. I wish JC would have got up and talked about the tens of thousands of dollars invested into these homes because people are cooking meth and they're using meth in their homes. And I'm sorry if you didn't get this information 8 months ago. I can't help that. I did the best I could. Today was your day to get the information, get the facts. We didn't want, I appreciate the district chairman representing their districts and doing their job along with council, but there's more people filled in this room today than there are when people go to their district meetings and you got 11 or 12 people that are making decisions for 1,000 people. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Sometimes people have medical conditions. They can't go to a district meeting. Sometimes they got other engagements with their kids. And there's sometimes they just don't like to hear the bickering that goes on down there. That's why a lot of people don't go to the district meeting. You want to make that change, do it at the election. We're here to do a job in the best interest of all the tribal members, not the 10 or 20 people that go to district meetings. So, with that, there's a lot more we can talk about. Maybe we need to have another community forum. I really hope people fill out those cards and they give us an honest answer. And I told the district chairman, if our people still aren't convinced this is the way to approach and to push these drug dealers out, if there's a majority of you in here that are not convinced, I'll be the first one to say, then let's abolish the Joint Powers Agreement. But what are you going to put in place? What else are we going to do to combat this issue? Grady made a good point. I would agree with Grady. One of the few times I'll say it publicly, if he's willing to, to invest more money in tribal law enforcement, we've been saying that for a couple of years, So, but until there's something in place that is going to address the meth problem and how we drive the dealers out, how we put more pressure on these guys, I think we need to support our tribal law enforcement. They have a thankless job. And, they've been sitting here, they've been listening to a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of the concerns, and I appreciate that. But Isaiah, our chief of police, the law enforcement have a tough job. And they don't get thanked enough. They don't get paid enough. We need to be supporting these guys with the best tools we can, and sometimes the best ammunition is that Joint Powers Agreement. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. We are going to do some drawings. And I've been asked to make this announcement. Maybe you've heard about it. It's very tough to make an announcement like this. Robin Quinn has passed away. And we're... It's I had a request by DCA. It's just very difficult, and just wanted to share that with y'all. We're gonna have Orville come up and say a prayer for Robin and the family, and I'll leave it at that.
Atonace Hotake Vinunim being na Woshike or Chokshaka Picte. Yota Soria, Honash Picte, was on Tankikia Okaho. Naja Ampetukile, Hechake, Dona Woshike Chimpi, Nauki Chimpi. Like you say, sing this song through hardship or as a Oyate to honor every person, to have that love and compassion. But in our way, these songs encourage us spiritually. This is a leadership song that I like to sing to the Oyate, to stand up today, that Shanglish Kawakam. We always think about that sacred hoop, through prayer, through healing.
district, do some drawings. We ask that everybody keep Robin and Quinn family in their hearts and prayers. Big Coulee, anybody from Big Coulee? We'll have Arnold drawn for Big Coulee. You just want to stick one. So, with the recommendation of a majority of DCA, I do want to say, Robin was there with us when she had agreed to having this. Long Hollow District invited us up there a couple times and was supportive of the JPA. She was also in support of having this community forum and has supported the efforts of the council and so we just wanted to have some drawings. So there's 9 drawings of $100 gift coupons for Dakota Crossing. Each district will have 10 drawings. There will be 9 drawings for $100 and 1 for $500. So. Yeah, so we'll start with Evelyn. We got our district chairwoman. Let's give DCA reps a nice round of applause for coming, doing their job. Okay. Karen White. No, just kidding. Robert LaCroix. Robert LaCroix, $100 winner. You must be present to claim your Robert LaCroix. Robert here? Here he's coming. So you want to put that? Here, you want to give that to Crystal? So that'll be a 100. Next $100 goes to Lily Renville. Lily Renville. See Crystal. Lily Renville. Got to be present, so. Theodore St. John. Ted St. John. You want to do that, Crystal? You just want to stand out here, Crystal? Vanessa Adams. Vanessa Adams. Vanessa Adams going once. Thanks for your questions, Ted. Charlene LaFontaine. Charlene LaFontaine. Here she comes.